Tailwind CSS version 4 is finally out, bringing some nice improvements. Today we'll explore a few of its new features by building this sleek modern product card page. In the previous videos, I showed you how to install Tailwind CSS version 4 and set everything up from scratch. One for React and the other for Vue.js. Feel free to check out the one that suits you best if you haven't already. Let's take a closer look at this page and break down its key elements. This is the product card. It has a 3D hover effect, an animated border, and a smooth popover when you click View Specs. Below the card, we also have a review section. The amazing part here is the text area. As you type inside it, the size adjusts dynamically based on how much text you enter. This Submit Review button has an inset shadow, and the radial gradient feeds from white to the primary color. Alright, now let's dive in. One of the biggest changes in Tailwind CSS version 4 is there is no more tailwind.config.js file by default. Instead, all your customization can now live directly in the CSS file where you import Tailwind. First, I defined a few theme colors using the theme directive: primary, secondary, and accent. Now, we can use them in our components just by adding classes like bg_primary. Then I created a bg gloss utility with color mix and backdrop filter. Now let's use that class in the header. I made it sticky, centered the title, and applied our custom background effect. I'm wrapping this section in a container. That lets us use container-based breakpoints instead of the usual screen ones. Super helpful for more responsive layouts. The perspective 1000 lets child elements show depth when transformed, and on hover, we switch to perspective distant to push that 3D effect a bit further. For the card itself, I'm adding a transform 3D with some rotation. And on hover, we animate it for that smooth interactive tilt. The image also rotates a bit with rotate Y just to enhance the 3D effect a little more. I'm feeding in this section by setting starting opacity 0 to initially hide it, and the feeding effect takes 1000 milliseconds to complete. For the product title, I've added a text shadow with a primary color. Starting with opacity 0 and a slight downward shift translate Y10, the element smoothly transitions to its original position and becomes fully visible after 500 milliseconds. The button uses an inside shadow with a primary color for inner depth and a radial gradient that feeds from white to the primary color, starting at 25% of the area. Popover target equals specs popover links this button to the popover with ID equals specs popover, so clicking it shows that popover. I give it popover auto so it opens and closes automatically when triggered. Then I give it the ID equals specs popover. This is what connects it to the button with popover target equals specs popover earlier. Adding asterisk before a class name helps us apply that class to all child elements inside the parent element without repeating it for each child. This is especially useful when working with just HTML and CSS, allowing us to style multiple child elements efficiently without extra code. Popover target action equals hide tells the button to hide the popover, but it's useful when using popover equals manual instead of auto, because in manual mode you need to control when it opens or closes. Alright, so here I'm using OKLCH, which give more vivid and accurate shades than old RGB. Now let's move on to making the card border animated. We'll create a new utility called border animated. This utility will give the card a rotating border by using a conic gradient for the border image. Property Gradient Angle. This is a new tailwind feature that allows us to animate a custom property. We define the type as an angle, prevent it from inheriting, and give it a default value. We'll also set up a keyframes animation to make the gradient rotate around the card, creating a dynamic effect. Let's make the text area adjust dynamically as you type by adding the new feature, Field Sizing Content. Without it, the height stays fixed. With it, the text area grows or shrinks based on the text inside. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe for more updates. See you in the next video.